The silence and the storm. Harmony Station hung like a jewel against the velvet backdrop of space, its massive habitat rings rotating in perfect synchronization, home to 30,000 souls. Scientists, engineers, families, pioneers who had ventured to the edge of human space to build something beautiful. Captain Ilara Vega had visited the station just 3 months ago, shared drinks with its commander, laughed as children raced through zeroed playgrounds in the central hub. Now she stared at the empty space where Harmony had been. "Play it again," she ordered, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. The holographic display flickered as the sensor log replayed. Harmony Station, peaceful and bright. Then a sudden flare of unknown energy. No explosion, no debris field, just erasure. 30,000 lives snuffed out without warning, without declaration, without mercy. "That's the third time, Captain," her XO whispered. "I know, Marcus." Ilara's eyes never left the display. "I'm looking for something I missed." "There's nothing to miss. They're just gone." The bridge of the UES Valkyrie fell silent. Ilara's flagship had been the first responder, arriving barely 8 hours after Harmony's automated distress beacon activated, a beacon programmed to trigger only if all station communications failed simultaneously. "Ma'am," Communications Officer Chen broke the silence. "Priority transmission from Earth Command." Earth Command, 12 light-years away but responding already. The news was spreading like wildfire across the neural networks that connected humanity's 57 colonies and outposts. "Put it through." Admiral Helena Vasquez appeared on screen, her dark eyes sharp with contained fury. "Captain Vega, report. Complete erasure, Admiral. No conventional weapons signature, no radiation profile we recognize. One moment Harmony existed, the next." Ilara gestured to the emptiness on her screens. "Any sign of the perpetrators?" "None. But we found this." Ilara transmitted the scan data. "An energy signature unlike anything in our databases. It leaves a quantum resonance trace that's still detectable. We could follow it." Admiral Vasquez's face hardened as she received the data. "Stand by." The screen went blank, leaving Ilara and her crew staring at stars that suddenly seemed much colder, much more hostile. 20 minutes later, the Admiral returned. Behind her stood 5 grim-faced individuals. The Earth Council itself. "Captain Vega," Counselor Oshiro began, "what you're seeing is an unprecedented unified response. The Council has voted unanimously. Every military vessel in human space is being mobilized. Every reserve called up. Every shipyard has ceased civilian production. We're going to hunt whoever did this," added Counselor Mbiki, "and we're going to send a message that will echo across the galaxy for millennia. You do not touch humanity without consequences." "The Intelligence Division believes this was a test," continued Admiral Vasquez. "An evaluation of our response capabilities. They expected a diplomatic protest, perhaps a small punitive expedition." Ilara felt ice form in her stomach. And instead they're getting the largest battle fleet ever assembled in the history of our species. 700,000 warships, Captain. Every last one. The number stunned her. Earth's peace era had lasted almost a century. Military vessels had been maintained as a precaution, a deterrent, but 700,000. It seemed impossible. "How?" she whispered. "Corporations have surrendered their security fleets. Colonies have donated their defense forces. Private military contractors have waived all fees. Even the Outer Belt separatists have pledged their ships to the cause." The Admiral's voice grew solemn. "One attack has done what a century of diplomacy couldn't, unified humanity completely. Your orders, Admiral. The Valkyrie will lead the vanguard. Follow that energy signature. Find who did this. The fleet assembles at Jupiter's orbit in 72 hours, and then we come to you." The transmission ended, leaving Ilara staring at her crew, all of whom had heard every word. "Plot a course following the quantum resonance," she ordered. "Full tactical alert. We're the eyes of humanity now. The Valkyrie slipped into faster-than-light travel, its sensors constantly scanning the quantum trail left by whatever had erased Harmony Station. For 3 days they followed it, pushing deeper into uncharted space, beyond the boundaries of known star charts. On the 4th day, they found something. Captain to the bridge. The intercom blared, waking Ilara from fitful sleep. She arrived to find her crew staring at the main view screen in silence. "What am I looking at?" she asked, though part of her already knew. "A fleet, Captain," her sensor officer replied. "Not like any we've ever seen." The alien vessels didn't conform to any recognizable design philosophy. They weren't symmetrical. They weren't uniform. Each one appeared unique, like evolved creatures rather than constructed ships. They pulsed with the same energy signature that had erased Harmony. How many? We count approximately 3,000, but they're clustered so densely it's difficult to be precise. 3,000 against 1. Suicidal odds. But the Valkyrie hadn't been seen yet. Their stealth systems were still the best in the fleet. Passive scans only. I want to know everything about them before they know about us. For 12 hours, the Valkyrie observed. The alien fleet appeared to be in some kind of holding pattern, orbiting a spatial anomaly that defied classification. It wasn't a planet or star. It was something like a tear in the fabric of space itself, pulsing with energy that made the sensors fluctuate wildly. "They're waiting for something," Ilara murmured. "Reinforcements. Orders." As if in answer to her question, the anomaly flared, and a new ship emerged. Unlike the others, this one was massive, easily 20 kilometers long. It moved with deliberate grace, and as it fully materialized, the other ships aligned themselves in geometric patterns around it. "That's their command vessel," Ilara said with certainty, "and I'd bet my commission that whoever's in charge of it ordered the attack on Harmony." "Captain," her communications officer interrupted, "we're receiving a transmission. It's aimed directly at us." Ilara felt her blood run cold. "How?" "Our stealth systems. They shouldn't be able to detect us, but they're hailing us by name. Not just our ship. They're asking for you personally." The bridge fell silent. Being discovered was bad enough. Being identified, named, it was impossible. "Put it through," Ilara ordered, straightening her uniform. "Visual on main screen." The view screen flickered, and an image formed that made several bridge officers gasp audibly. The being had a vaguely humanoid shape, but that's where similarities ended. Its skin, if it could be called that, seemed to shift and flow like liquid mercury. Multiple pairs of eyes arranged in no discernible pattern blinked independently across what might have been a face. When it spoke, its voice resonated not through the speakers but directly in their minds. "Captain Ilara Vega of Earth Vessel Valkyrie, you have followed our invitation well." Invitation. Ilara kept her voice steady. "You murdered 30,000 innocent people. A necessary calibration. Your species has drawn our attention for some time. We needed to understand your response parameters. Those were people, not parameters. Distinctions without meaning. Your collective mobilizes now. 700,000 vessels. An impressive commitment of resources for such a small loss." The creature knew about the fleet. Somehow, it knew everything. "We are the architects. We have shaped the evolution of 1,000 species across this galaxy. Some flourish. Some are pruned. All serve the greater design. And humanity, what role have you assigned us in this design of yours?" The being's mercury skin rippled in what might have been amusement. "That remains to be determined." Your response was unexpected. Most species react with fear, submission. You respond with unified anger. Interesting. If you know about our fleet, you know what's coming for you. Yes. Your Armada approaches. We will meet it. The outcome will determine your species' fate. If you fight well, perhaps you may serve as warriors in what comes next. And if we refuse to serve, then like your station, you will be unmade. A pity, but the design allows for failure. The transmission cut abruptly. leaving the bridge in silence. "Send everything we've learned to Earth Command," Ilara ordered, "and prepare for combat. The fleet is walking into an ambush." Earth's armada arrived precisely on schedule, exiting faster than light travel in a carefully choreographed sequence that placed 700,000 warships in battle formation within minutes. It was humanity's full might. From agile frigates to massive dreadnoughts, a display of unified purpose unprecedented in human history. Admiral Vasquez transferred her flag to the Valkyrie for the coming confrontation. "These architects seriously underestimated us," the Admiral said, reviewing Ilara's intelligence. "They expected submission after one attack." "I don't think they underestimated us," Ilara replied quietly. "I think they're testing us, like scientists with lab rats." "Well, these rats bite hard." The Admiral's eyes gleamed with cold determination. Battle Plan Thunderstrike is now in effect. All vessels, weapons hot. First wave forward. The human fleet advanced in perfect coordination, a testament to thousands of hours of combined training across disparate military forces now united. The alien fleet, still just 3,000 vessels plus their command ship, didn't move to engage or retreat. They simply waited. "This feels wrong," Ilara muttered, watching the tactical display. "They're outnumbered more than 200 to 1. Why aren't they running?" The answer came moments later when the spatial anomaly behind the alien fleet pulsed and began to expand. Energy readings spiked off the charts as the tear in spacetime grew larger, brighter. "All vessels, evasive maneuvers," Admiral Vasquez shouted. But it was too late. A pulse of energy identical to the one that had erased Harmony Station burst from the anomaly, only thousands of times more powerful. It swept across the vanguard of the human fleet, engulfing nearly 10,000 ships in its initial wave. They didn't explode. They simply ceased to exist. The battle for humanity's survival had begun. Steel and Starfire. 10,000 ships gone in an instant. 70,000 lives erased without a trace. The human fleet reeled from the shock but didn't break. Instead, it adapted with the speed and flexibility that had allowed humanity to conquer its own world and reach for the stars. "All vessels, implement Helios Protocol." Admiral Vasquez's voice cut through the chaos. "This is not a drill." Across the remaining fleet, specialized ships moved into predetermined positions. The Helios Protocol was humanity's best-kept secret, a theoretical defense against weapons of mass destruction that had never been tested in actual combat. Until now, a network of specialized energy projectors activated simultaneously, creating a lattice of intersecting fields that spread across the human formation. When the next energy pulse erupted from the spatial anomaly, it struck this barrier and shattered against it like a wave on rocks. On the Valkyrie's bridge, a ragged cheer went up. "Helios is holding," the tactical officer reported. "Barrier integrity at 87%. It won't hold forever," Ilara cautioned. "Those pulses are getting stronger." Admiral Vasquez nodded grimly. "We need to close that rift. Captain Vega, you're our expert on these architects. Any insights?" Ilara studied the tactical display, watching the patterns of the alien ships. Unlike human vessels, which moved with military precision, the architect's fleet flowed like a school of fish, seemingly without formation yet perfectly coordinated. "They're extensions," she said suddenly, "not individual ships, parts of a whole. See how they move. It's like watching neurons firing in a brain." "So what's the brain?" Vasquez demanded. "The command ship. Take it out, and the rest might become disorganized. But we'd need to get close, and with that anomaly protecting them." The Admiral's eyes narrowed. "We have the numbers. We can punch through." What followed was the largest coordinated attack in human military history. Wave after wave of warships advanced, using the Helios barrier as a mobile shield. For every ship lost, 10 more took its place. The alien vessels fought with terrifying efficiency. Their weapons bypassed shields, ignored armor, somehow reaching directly into human ships to tear them apart at the molecular level. But they couldn't stop them all. The battle raged for hours. The death toll mounted, but humanity pressed forward with grim determination. Inch by bloody inch, they pushed toward the command ship and the spatial anomaly it protected. In the midst of the chaos, Ilara had a realization. The anomaly isn't a weapon, she told the Admiral. It's a doorway. They're bringing something through, something big. As if confirming her words, the tear widened further and energy readings went off the scale. Something was emerging, a shape so vast it defied comprehension, a construct or entity that made the 20-kilometer command ship look tiny by comparison. "We're out of time," Admiral Vasquez said quietly. Then, louder, "All vessels, implement Prometheus protocol." Ilara's blood ran cold. Prometheus was the last resort option, developed in secret and against numerous ethical objections. "Admiral, are you certain?" "Once unleashed, I'm aware of the consequences, Captain." Vasquez's voice was steel. 7 specialized vessels are moving into position now. Each carries a quantum singularity generator. Together, they'll create a temporary black hole large enough to collapse that anomaly and anything coming through it. And our own ships. We have hundreds of thousands still in the blast radius. The Admiral met her gaze steadily. "That's why I'm sending you away." "What?" "The Valkyrie has the most detailed scans of the Architect's technology. I'm ordering you to take your ship and retreat at maximum speed. Get that data back to Earth. Make sure we learn from this, whether we win or lose." Ilara stood straighter. "With respect, Admiral, my place is here. Your place is where humanity needs you most. And right now, that's not here." Vasquez touched her shoulder briefly. "The fleet will cover your retreat. Now go, Captain. That's an order." The Valkyrie broke formation, accelerating away from the battlefield as tens of thousands of human ships moved to shield its escape, sacrificing themselves to ensure the vessel carrying humanity's best hope for understanding their enemy could escape. Ilara watched on long-range sensors as the Prometheus vessels moved into position. The singularity generators activated simultaneously, creating a cascading reaction that bent space-time itself. A pinpoint of absolute darkness formed, growing rapidly as it devoured light, matter, energy, everything. The spatial anomaly buckled as the artificial black hole pulled at it. The massive entity emerging from it was caught half-materialized, trapped between dimensions as the hole collapsed. The Architect's command ship tried to flee but was caught in the growing gravity well. Then, in a final act of defiance, the command ship detonated itself in a blast that rivaled a supernova. The explosion interacted with the artificial singularity in ways no human scientist had predicted. Space-time itself seemed to fracture. The Valkyrie was flung clear by the shockwave, systems failing, crew unconscious. When Ilara regained awareness hours later, the battlefield was gone, replaced by a swirling maelstrom of energy that defied all known physics. "Did we win?" her XO asked weakly, blood trickling from his nose. Ilara stared at the readings. "I don't know. But we stopped them. Whatever was coming through that rift never made it, and the Architect's fleet is gone." At what cost? The question hung in the air. Nearly 700,000 ships lost, millions of lives sacrificed. And for what? A victory. A stalemate. 3 weeks later, the Valkyrie limped back to Earth orbit, the sole survivor of humanity's greatest military expedition. The data it carried would transform human understanding of physics, of space-time, of the very nature of existence. And deep in that data, buried in quantum patterns only specialized AIs could detect, was a message from the Architects. "Impressive, humans. You have passed the first trial. You are not prey after all. Perhaps in time, you might become peers. We will be watching your evolution with great interest. Until our next encounter, grow stronger." The message was kept secret from the general public. Only the highest levels of Earth's government knew the truth. The battle hadn't been a war. It had been an audition. Humanity had responded to the destruction of one colony with 700,000 warships and a willingness to sacrifice everything. In doing so, they had earned not victory, but recognition. 1 year later, Captain Ilara Vega stood on the bridge of the new flagship Earth had built, the UES Phoenix. It was the first of a new class of vessels, designed with everything they'd learned from the architect's technology. New colonies established in 17 systems, her XO reported. Planetary defenses operational in all core worlds. Fleet reconstruction at 63% and accelerating. Ilara nodded, gazing at the stars on her view screen. Somewhere out there, the architects were watching, waiting, perhaps preparing their next test. Status of Project Lighthouse, she asked. The early warning network is online. If anything remotely similar to the architect's energy signature appears within 100 light-years, we'll know instantly. Good. Ilara settled into her command chair. Take us out, Lieutenant. Standard patrol route. As the Phoenix accelerated away from Earth, Ilara reflected on what humanity had learned from its greatest tragedy. They were not alone in the universe. They were not the most powerful species among the stars. But they had shown that if you destroyed one human colony, humanity would respond with everything it had. And next time, they would be ready.